advised, we have a visual on enemy paratroopers.
Ever since I've been a child, I've been playing video games. Like, it started with my brother and even my mom and my dad, my cousins. We would used to play like Super Mario Kart on the Nintendo 64 or like Pokemon back in the day on the Game Boy. So I've been kind of playing video games most of my life, really. But it was more a hobby until at a certain point I got kind of addicted to Han, which is a very similar game to Dota, as many of you know.
Will he look to use the release of Cracker? Protective Melody comes out as well. The release of Cracker, there's the chap. They gets all five. The gun hole is successful. And GG, well played.
I got to the point where I would like start doing worse in school, or like I would not want to go to school to like play more Han. And eventually, like, I started playing with teams and scrims, and like one thing just led to another. Suddenly I qualified to like DreamHack back in the day with my team in Han, and then I like understood, you know, like this is really fun and I really enjoy it, and there's also even like some money in it when I was younger, which was great. So ever since then, really, I've been just into video games my whole life. Thought about switching in the first place to come from Han to Dota is that, I mean, I just want to play a game that has like competition and where I can like just grow as a player and as a person. But Han, the player base didn't get bigger, and the tournament just kept being less and less until it was like one tournament a year. Like, that's not really fun to compete in a game where you have not a lot of competition and you're not like really playing for a good cause. Like, it's just not good. So then I wanted to swap over to Dota because the game is very similar. And I saw a lot of other people that used to play Han like succeed in Dota, like Peter Pandam, Fly, No-Tail, Jarex, you know, all those players that like I played with and against, I saw them succeeding, and I'm like, you know, the game looks similar and it just makes sense to swap over and just try it.
I really feel that Dota is what I want to do, and I think that I can do it.
Once I swapped over or started doing it, it was certainly a change, because even though the game is similar and so are the heroes, it's still like different at the same time. Heroes have different abilities, like the reaction time in Dota or the response time is a bit slower. So it definitely took a while to get used to, because Dota is a lot more unique than Han in that sense. Like, you have more mechanics, different spells, some heroes that if they're picked, the whole game changes. Like all these Huskars and Tinkers, they're like just very unique, and it takes quite a while to get used to it. I got attention in Dota in the first place is that, well, first of all, I played a lot and I streamed. Like back in Han I was a streamer, so when I swapped to Dota I also streamed it. And so from what I understood, so I started climbing the leaderboards while learning the game, which was really nice. And people, at least some people, started like watching my stream and like seeing, oh hey, you know, maybe this guy has some potential, he was good in Han. So I think basically like my name, that I came from Han and that I was a good player there, that helped a lot. And then also like just interacting and showing myself on the leaderboard and stream, I'm sure that helped a lot. Because the first good team I got in Dota was when I joined No Diggity back in the day. It was Synderen, Era, Koikwa and Yapsor. And Era just messaged me on Facebook that they wanted to talk to me. So like I knew him a little bit from back in Han, and then they basically said, well, you know, they watch my stream, they know me from back in the day, so they just gave me a tryout, and that's kind of how my whole career in Dota, I would say, started out.
Around. Vega starting to move away, and now the door! The four-man Chronosphere Koifa drops down the Meteor and Yapsor. BKB Black Hole onto four of the reels that in. There's the triple kill for Koifa. MagE, he's going to go down as well almost certainly. The Raw not savage enough to save his ass. Koifa with an ultra kill. Oh, Andy.
Back in Escape, I qualified to my first TI ever for the TI 6 qualifiers it was. So we were like, just like super happy after we won the qualifiers. And the event in itself is, I don't know, it's very special. It's like hard to put in words. It's like the emotions at the tournament and all the people and the games. And I just think the best thing about TI is like the atmosphere when you're in the stadium and like, or the arena and you watch those games. Like if you haven't been there, you can't imagine like how great it is. So sadly, we got last place when back in Escape.
They might be able to get this kill on Lena, but Synderen takes the Primal Roar. BKB used by Illinen, trying to defend BZZ. BZZ dies immediately after using the BKB.
But so the tournament was over, some time went by, and I think it was the Boston Major qualifiers. We ended up losing, but one day after we lost, I got a message from Puppy on Twitter, which really surprised me. And then we started talking a bit, and like we started WhatsApping each other, and he asked me some questions like about his team, because he told me that at that point like Forev had left the team, or I'm not quite sure how it went down, but anyway, he said they needed a new offlane player, and so I started talking to him a bit. I asked him some questions, because it was back in the day when like there was a lot of drama around like Team Secret and Puppy's name with the whole Envy shenanigans. But basically I was very eager and happy to play for them. Like, I mean, who wouldn't want to play in Secret? And like with Puppy, you can learn so much, especially as a new player. And then, well, about my time in the team, was probably one of the best times like that I ever had in esports, and also like as a person. I think I learned a lot. They have very nice people like in the team and also in the organization. Cyborg Mad is like one of my favorite people ever. I think Puppy was a great captain. I also think all the players I played with in that team, they had nice personalities, they were great players. So I'm sure it helped me a lot to develop as a player. And I mean, I can't really say much more. I really enjoyed my time in Secret, and I think it was great.
What's this?
Oh no.
Oh, that's so good. Oh, didn't even know he got
the
the ward. He's all right.
Tested Joe, can't do anything to save his friend. That's so painful. A beautiful.
Oh, shit!
Well, sadly, last season didn't really work out so well for me as a player. I think there's probably multiple reasons for that. First of all, so I played with various teams in the last season. I was with Synderen for a while. I had Saxa and Wiha in my team. Then at the very end, I played with Blinkpool, which was Misery, and Saxa, Kaiser, and Madara. We came close every now and then to like qualify here and there. We were, I think, one match away from qualifying to 2 minors with the Synderen team. In the TI qualifiers, we got 3rd place. So it was like always a bit close, but we weren't quite there. And I think I'm like still missing like a little bit of more time and experience as a player, which is gonna like allow me to show myself again in the scene. Because I think like you need to work really, really hard in Dota to like stay on the top and try to qualify for tournaments. So I think maybe in the start of the last year, maybe I didn't work hard enough. Well, at least that's what I think now. Because I think you want to constantly be able to work on yourself and play a lot of games and improve yourself. You never want to be like, you never want to think like, oh no, this week like I don't have to play Dota, I'm already good enough. Like, no, you need to, you need to always work on yourself, whether it's your attitude or your skill, or you can look at replays of better teams like Virtus Pro, Liquid, Secret. Like, there's always something that you can improve on. So maybe if I tried a bit harder last year, maybe I would have made it to a LAN. That's basically what I'm thinking. I've been thinking about captaining at least for a little bit. I mean, it didn't make much sense for me, like for example a year ago when when I was new, first I played with Synderen, who's a good captain who helped me a lot. Then I joined Secret and I played with Puppy. Obviously I'm not gonna want to captain Puppy when he's in my team. I've always been a very talkative person. I try to set up plays. I'm usually the playmaker in the team I play in. So it kind of like, it makes sense like more naturally. And also, it was something I wanted to try, just so that if I ever stop playing, I can tell myself, at least I tried it and I don't have any regrets. So here, I mean, I feel really good. I just know that I need like more time. There's obviously going to be a lot of mistakes, which is the only way you improve. Because stuff like drafting and captaining, it's not something, it's like you don't read a book and then you're like some super good captain. You can maybe get some inspiration from other captains. Like for example, I can maybe take a few things that I learned in Secret or with Synderen, of how they acted and like how they drafted as a captain, which can help me. But at the end of the day, in order to be a good captain, you need to run through many situations and just get better. You're going to have to lose a lot of games and have a lot of discussions with your teammates to understand, like, am I doing the right thing? Am I doing it wrong? Do I need to talk to my players differently? But currently, I feel really good, and we're all just wanting to learn and get better, and like, we want to do it together. Well, I think every player and person is like very unique in their own regard. Like, for example, if I take Madara as a player, he can be like very clowny outside the game, but like in the game, if he has a good game, it's very good if like one of the cores, especially if they feel good, if they can like take over the game and like talk and like just say, okay, we should do this, or I'm strong when I get, let's say, I'm strong when I get BKB. like a very good trait about Omar is that when he has a good game, he's able to take it and just do a lot with it. Like he can say, okay guys, when I get BKB, we're strong enough to fight. Or like, you know, he's very vocal and very strong about what he needs and what can be done in the game. And then with MNT, he surprises me quite a lot with his play. He just, like, it's a bit weird because he's a player that is like more in the background. He like can talk a bit in the draft because he understands heroes fairly well. And like he just surprises me, and he's a very calm person. So like when he speaks, you kind of know that it makes sense and you should like pay some respect to it, because he doesn't like always like speak the most, but you just understand that when he says something, he knows that like it's right and good about it. And then we have Peksu, who's like I said, he's a rather new player. So like I said, he brings some fire to the team, maybe some newer things from pub games, like because he plays a little different supports, which I think is great. It's always good if you can bring some uniqueness to like some games or some drafts. And in general, like all the teammates I have right now, like it just seems very easy for me. It makes it easier for me as a captain to like discuss things, because people like don't get angry at me instantly or say like, no, you're wrong. Like we all try to like listen to each other and hear each other out, like about what is good and bad. And then, well, I'm going to talk about MayBe, even though he's not here. He's a very young player, but he's probably the most eager to get better and like listen when someone has something to say. And I think he's like a very hidden player. He does very many good things when we play with him. He just lacks this guidance and like captaining and being able, like, the more he plays against these players like No One and Sumail and Miracle, I'm really sure that he's gonna do a lot, because he's already now in the early phases of this team, he's like doing really well in his mid lanes. It's more like later on he does some pub game mistakes, because he's just used to pub games basically. Alright, and then we have the coach, who Peksu suggested him to us, because I think a coach can always be very useful to any team. It's always like very healthy to just have like an outside opinion, but you still need to respect it. Like if you don't respect your coach, like he's not going to do anything useful to you. So you need to understand that all the players need to respect the coach and the other way around. So this is where we met him the first time. He's a Finnish player. He's been helping us like through Discord online for like the last few weeks, and I think he does like a lot of good things for us. So he helps me prepare in drafting. He also helps us like with anything like in the game, like some movements we're doing wrong, maybe we're not communicating properly. And so far he like, now that we met him in person, he seems very relaxed, very knowledgeable. So it's very easy to like get into conversations and like understand the right thing to talk about, because he seems like not very biased. Like he will look at it from an outside point of view, from a spectator, and then after the games, like we can talk about it and try to come up with like what the problems actually are. So, and so far I already, even though we have lost our games, I know that we learned from our losses and we're like working our way in the right direction, especially with the input that he's giving us. The main goal and the main stuff that I want to try and do in this team is that we improve together. We do our best to try and get to any tournaments, whether it's minors and majors. I want us to just get better together, have the chance and opportunity that all of our individuals and we as a team get to show our faces and our skill in all the games that we have. And now with the partnership of Vega, it's going to make it a lot easier for us, because we have some players that like it just makes you have less things to worry about. Like it's going to help with boot camps. We're going to be able to practice from the same location. That makes practice like so much easier. Like if you just think about it, you talk online, like maybe it doesn't matter as much, but if you're face to face and we get to play these games, we get to interact with each other like on a personal level. And finally, like I get to meet my teammates, and it's like just a lot better to discuss things after the game as well. And that's why I just think like a partnership is just going to help so much. And like Vega are going to help us with boot camps, and like it just makes, especially for newer players, it gives them a lot less things to worry about, because suddenly all they have to do is just play their game, and all we have to do is just give our best.